Welcome to the Cathedral of Shadows, where demons gather. その地の定めじゃ
Hello everyone, welcome to the Cathedral of Shadows, a Megami Tensei podcast. I am Rasen,
I'm Katsu.
and we have a lot of news to talk about today. This episode really doesn't have one underlying thing we're going to talk about. Just there's been a lot of stuff that happened over the past couple of weeks that we thought we should discuss. So first things first, I want to talk a little bit about episode 18, which was really awesome. A lot of you liked it. Thanks a lot to Kevin and the Bento Books people for coming on and helping out with that. That was awesome. We'll probably do something again in the future. We're not really, yeah, yeah. Like we're thinking of doing like a Q&A thing with Kevin again, where people send in questions around the time Quantum Devil Saga Volume 1 comes out. So not really sure when that will be, but we'll keep you posted, of course. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I know we both enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. And it got quite a bit of attention compared to our average episodes, which I was
I
thankful
know.
for. So yeah, thanks Kevin, thanks Bento Books people. It's all awesome. I guess this next thing I want to talk about, which I talked about on Twitter a little bit, COS might have just landed me a job.
Yes.
So this is a really weird story. Okay, so I walked into class one day and my professor's like, "Hey, do you have a job?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he responded, "Well, how attached are you to it?" Because there's this company that is looking for like an apprenticeship type program, but it's not really. It's more like just flat out job for like students and like people around my age. And I think what happened is there's this old guy that really didn't know much computer stuff, but he knew like enough to get by, and he just did a bunch of like odd jobs around the place. And he's like retiring, so they wanted two or three people to replace him. So my professor recommended me, and then I'm like, oh, okay, just give them my contact information or let me like know what their phone number is, whatever. We'll get in contact. And he's like, oh, well, the guy's like actually waiting, and like if you want to do like a makeshift interview right after class, that'd be cool too. I'm like, oh, okay. So, so after class, I walked in and went to his office, and the guy was there, and I'm like, oh, hi. And interview went well. And then towards the end, he's like, now, do you have any secondary computer skills you want to touch on, such as like data entry stuff, network security? And then he brought up video and audio editing. So
And then you just linked the podcast.
actually, yes. Well, okay, so this is what my head, I'm like, okay, do I tell him about YouTube? Because what I'm thinking of right now in my head is this can go two ways. On one hand, he could say it and go like, "You gamer shit," and then like freak out and then say no, and then
Hmm.
I wouldn't feel too bad because I already have a job that I like. Or then two, I could show it to him and he'd be impressed, and then he'd be like, "Okay, that's pretty good, so you're hired." So I'm like, "Hey, you know what? Fuck it. I might as well just show him." So I showed him the last episode of COS, and he's like, "This is really good." And then like he said like, "Yeah, my nephew does like YouTube gaming stuff too, and he gets paid for it. Do you get paid for it?" I'm like, "Oh no, but I just like do it for a side hobby." So I'm thinking, "Oh shit, I just totally showed the right guy." Like he has some familiarity with the YouTube scene, so that was nice. But yeah, towards the end of the interview, he kind of suggested I was the only person that had hit all the marks they were looking for, and he seemed pretty heavy, like he seemed to imply pretty hard that I got it. So hopefully I learned more about that. Um, it's going to be a lot more hours than I'm getting now, which I'm excited about. That might mean that
Yay.
podcast scheduling might be more hard, but I'll figure it out. We can get it going. So yeah,
Meanwhile,
COS.
meanwhile, I'm just sitting here with no job.
Oh.
Sad life. Yeah.
Maybe you should just show everyone COS, and then eventually you'll get one. Look at what
I
I
need
did.
to. I need to add COS to my resume. Just add the podcast.
Give them my Skype name. I'll be a reference.
Yes.
Uh, that would be so weird. Oh man. Yeah, I never really thought COS would affect my life this hard, but it has. So that's awesome. Thanks, COS listeners, for listening, or else we wouldn't do this, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, that was really cool. And hopefully I learned more about that. They haven't contacted me back yet, but I think they want, like I said before, one or two more people just because that guy did a shit ton of stuff. Um, all right, well, that's enough about my life. Now, going back into other podcast news, people are wondering if we're going to FAP for episode 20.
Yes.
And I'm willing to say yes. The only thing that I want to bring up real quick is because of this job thing, I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to have to go in or like what the schedule is going to be because they even said that I might just start working next week. So I don't really know the scheduling for that. So what I think I'm going to do is just once I get everything figured out, I'll make a separate video. And I'll link the old COS FAP instruction video from episode 10 down below. It'll probably be the same type of thing. Actually, what I think something that I figured out that'll probably make it a lot easier is last time, every time I called someone, it would just add them to this massive group chat, and I think that caused part of the recording issues that I had. So what I think we're gonna do is just this time create a separate group chat like every single time, and I think it'll go a lot smoother. So nothing a little editing can't fix, and hopefully this one goes a lot smoother editing wise on my end. But yeah, it should be fun.
Should be fun. Should be tons of fun.
Hopefully. Oh man, what else is there to talk about?
Persona Key.
Oh yeah, Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth. Um, yeah, I think this is gonna be like our new weekly segment.
Yeah. Persona Q Weekly.
Persona Q weekly. What two character trailers of Persona Q did we get this week that barely told us anything? Actually, this one was
Um,
pretty nice.
we got like Ken and Koromaru got revealed, and I didn't even know that they worked in the game.
I swear that they must have been in the first trailer, or one of the first two.
Yeah.
They had to have been
Yeah.
there. Yeah, like I think it was Famitsu. They had
Yeah.
Ken and Koromaru. Like they acted like it's like, oh, it's the Ken and Koromaru reveal, and it's like, one, I don't know
Um,
anyone that's excited enough about those characters.
and two,
They were
I really,
probably already shown.
yeah,
Oh, actually, since we didn't cover last week's because we just had the whole thing with the interview.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yukiko and Shinji had a trailer. That
yeah,
was half right.
yeah. It was more of the same, but this week we had um Ray and is it Zen? Is his name?
Yeah, Zen.
Yeah, the new characters. And if you put them together, it says Rasen.
Yes.
Rasen confirmed for Persona Q. No, yeah, this it was a little bit more interesting this time around. Kind of got to see their personalities. Zen seems very like protective of Ray, and then Ray seems to eat a lot, and that's about it.
Yeah, she likes
So,
food.
corn dog girl.
Yeah, corn
Um,
dog chan.
so every what I like about this is that the Persona community, or I guess the MegaTen community as a whole, depending on how you look at it, is so like I guess we're already starting to notice various tropes and I guess ideas that they throw around in MegaTen that so many people are just saying, oh, these two characters are probably A, going to die, like actually be related to the antagonist, or C, disappear at the end of the game. Like
Yeah,
people are already calling their fates. I find that hilarious.
Or they're just gonna become friends with the main characters and live happily ever after.
Well, they don't show up again ever in like Arena
Yeah, they
4,
don't.
so who
So they're
knows?
probably dead.
Yeah, yeah. I just like how it's so early on. The game isn't even out, and it's like a few months from being out, and people are just like, "Oh, they're not gonna make it."
Yeah, it's over for those two.
Yeah, actually, and then we had, for some reason, we had what looked like Philemon in his butterfly form, trapped in a spider's web. And I hope that means something aside from just getting us all excited for no reason, Atlas.
Yeah, Philmar's gonna get eaten by a spider. Come on, Atlas.
What if that's how they explain why he isn't in 4? Or wait,
3. Well, he was in 3,
he
but
was in 3. I don't think he was in 4, was he?
yeah, he wasn't in 4.
At all?
It'll
Yeah,
explain why he wasn't in 4. He was too
yeah.
busy
He
getting
was
eaten
eaten.
by a.
He was eaten by a spider.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Just piss everyone off. What's effectively the god of this universe just got eaten by a spider. Feels bad, man.
Feels bad.
Just the characters like reach the like little spiderweb place. They just see like half of like a blue butterfly just corpse on the ground. Oh,
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, that was so. That was that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm so hyped for Persona Q, but these trailers, man. I wonder who's gonna be next week's two characters.
Uh, Kanji and Fuka.
Maybe. I I thought this for a little bit. I was like, maybe these will be the last two character trailers we get because it's the new characters or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think we're probably gonna get more. So
Yeah, the game is still months away.
yeah,
Yeah,
they'll
it's still months
probably
away.
they'll probably milk out trailers as fast as they can, get everyone excited. Atlas is good at that recently, getting everyone excited.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I guess we have to move from Persona Q into sadder news,
Okay.
but not really. We're losing a good friend in English.
Yeah, we're losing a good English friend, guys.
Yep. So the people that run, I forget their name, but the people that run at like the Atlas online MMO stuff, or at least they run SMT Imagine, announced on their forums that sadly we're gonna be losing the SMT Imagine. SMT Imagine English servers are going down next month.
Boo hoo hoo.
R.I.P. in peace.
Rip in peace.
So sad. So sad. Oh man, did you ever play SMT Imagine, Katsu?
Nope.
I did once, and I reinstalled it just to dick around with it before it gets shut down because I will never be able to play it again, so I feel the need to. Yeah, it was pretty bad, so no one gives a shit really. So I still wonder once in a while see someone like, oh, SMT Imagine's great, and it's like, no, just stop talking. Yeah, so that's gonna be dead soon. So if you want to play Imagine, go do that. I think they're having like an EXP boost or something the next month before it shuts down or something like that. So yeah, you're still probably gonna be able to play on Japanese servers, I guess. I don't know how you do that, but I'm assuming
You either have to dupe a Japanese IP or you could just log on and play. I'm guessing you're gonna have to dupe it since it's a pretty old game.
All right, so yeah, it's not going to be like lost forever or anything. It's just probably going to be a lot more harder to play if you don't know Japanese. So,
Yeah.
I guess we can move on from that dying to more happier news. So, Kyuuyaku, I think I'm saying that right. Megami Tensei.
Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei.
Yes, Megami Tensei, the Old Testament, as that roughly translates to, is getting translated by Aeon Genesis. And everyone's
Yes.
fuck yeah. And I actually guess I think we're psychic. Cathedral of
Yeah.
Psychics.
Yes, Cathedral Psychics.
Because you called that Persona 5 reveal and what the cities meant. And I totally called this on Twitter. I never talked about this in an episode, I think. But on Twitter, Aeon Genesis kept saying I'm starting a new project soon, which I'll reveal on so and so date. But that also means I'm dropping a project. So I looked at his project list. Well, no, and he also said, but it's going to be like a net positive. So I looked at his project list and I looked through all the games, and I was thinking this probably means he's translating either a sequel to something that's better or it's like a remake or compilation. And the more I looked at it, I'm thinking, oh shit, he could be dropping Megami Tensei 1 in order to work on Kyuuyaku. And then I referenced that on Twitter a few times, and I kind of said afterwards, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but I think it might be that he's dropping MegaTen 1 for Kyuuyaku. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, apparently the Famicom version of MegaTen 1 is not very easy to work with, and there's just flat out not enough space in the game to be able to translate it with any success. Uh, so that's kind of sad, but I mean, Kyuuyaku is the better version. So, yeah, um, I'm pretty hyped.
Hmm.
We finally get to see the roots of SMT.
The roots.
Oh man,
Yes,
games are
I'll
probably going
definitely
to be
like.
aged horribly.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really, really bad, but it'll be really, really, really great.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Hopefully that comes. Hopefully progress on that comes out sooner than if, but you never know. Uh, People think the if translation is dead. I think they're just not really working on it right now. Like it's on hiatus, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this is the third week in a row we've talked about translation stuff, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of exciting news in that department. Um, oh man, you know what else? Mega 10 related we're getting localized or translated? Mine Zero. Do you know what Mine Zero is?
Yes. Mine's. Yes, I know what Mine Zero is. I was actually kind of surprised it was getting localized.
So was I.
It's this. Yeah. All right. For those who don't know what Mine Zero is, it's just like one. It's kind of like a Persona-esque game. Well, actually, it's not Persona-esque. It's exactly like Persona.
It's a straight up ripoff
Yeah.
without social. It's Persona
Yeah, it's a
without
straight
social
up.
links.
It's Persona without social links, and it's getting localized by Axis Games. And I'm just sitting here like, wow, it's getting localized. And I bet it's gonna do what Persona didn't, which is we'll get dual audio, but whatever. And
What I think is
yeah,
hilarious is that all of the Japanese reviews of the game seem to be fairly negative. Like people seem to say it's either okay, it's an okay RPG or it's
it's
bad.
okay or it sucks or it's just too much like Persona. I'd rather play Persona.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and what I think about what I always say about RPGs that are okay is there are so many good RPGs that most people I don't think want to play an RPG that's okay because that's a time investment. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm playing a 60-hour game that's only okay. Like, no, if you play a 60-hour game, you want it to be good. So what I think is hilarious is the Axis knows this.
Yeah, they know this, but
They
they're
they
bringing
know
it
that
over
it's
anyway.
yeah, they're bringing it over anyways, and the sole reason is to pander to the Persona fans on Vita, right? It's for Vita, right? I think so.
Yeah, it is on Vita.
Yeah. The only reason they're bringing it over is because they know it's going to sell simply because it's like Persona and Vita
It's
Persona.
like Persona.
It's like Persona
Yeah,
and Vita Persona fans have nothing right now besides Golden and the other like games they can
and
download that are
dancing
PSP. Yeah,
and
and
dancing.
dancing. So I think that's hilarious that we've gotten to a point where Atlus's brands are getting clones and ripoffs and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
getting clones and ripoffs, and those clones and ripoffs are coming to the States because people are going to buy those clones and ripoffs.
I know it's so weird to think about because like that's kind of reminiscent of like old school Final Fantasy stuff when that started happening
Yeah,
around the time of like the PS1 era,
Final, yeah, like Final Fantasy clones and all that stuff.
like Legend of Dragoon. As much as I love that game, they totally like ripped off Final Fantasy 7 through 9 when they were making that. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Oh man, so yeah, look forward to Mine Zero if you're a hardcore Persona fan. You need more love on the Vita. I don't think I would ever get it even if I had a Vita, just because it doesn't seem like that good of a game. I'm
Yeah, it's
surprised they
not.
didn't rip off Social Links, honestly, for that.
Yeah, they should have. It wouldn't. It probably would have been a better game.
It probably would have been a better game.
It's
Uh,
like it's not about the gameplay; it's the characters, guys. Look how deep they are.
even
Look
the
at their
main,
social. I mean,
yeah, even the main character kind of looks like the Persona 3 protagonist. Did you notice that?
yeah, he looks exactly like Minato, but except his hair is darker, and he's voiced by everyone's favorite Japanese voice actor, Tomokazu Sugita. So that, like, I think that's part of the reason why Mind Zero sold so well in Japan is because the lead character was voiced by a voice actor that was that popular. So
Uh,
yeah,
so look forward to that. Another thing to talk about is the Wii U Virtual Console is getting DS games. Uh,
yes, what that means.
Possibly Strange Journey, Devil Survivor 2 maybe could be put on there at some point.
Strange Journey on the big screen.
I'd be excited for like I could care less if Devil Survivor 1 and 2 got put on there simply because we got the 3DS port like or
Yeah.
whatever version. Uh so honestly who cares
Or
about
Strange.
that? But
Yeah.
Strange
Or
Journey
Strange.
has never gotten re-released.
Yeah, no. Strange Journey on the virtual console will be great.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how this works. What it looks like is the is it looks like the Wii U pad, you like flip it sideways so that it's vertically more tall or whatever, and then you pull out the stylus thingy, which I didn't even realize the Wii U had a stylus. I just assumed you would use your fingers. Um, but I guess I was wrong. And apparently you'd pretty much use your Wii U tablet as a DS. So
Not bad.
yeah, what I had assumed was that what they were going to do was, and maybe they could put this function in at a later time, but I kind of doubt it now. The more that I think about it, is the Wii U gamepad would just be the bottom screen, and then the TV would be the top screen, or you could flip it
Yeah.
depending on the game.
Yeah, I was thinking the TV was gonna be the top screen and like the pad is the bottom screen.
But the more
But
that I thought about it, the more that I realized there's a lot of DS games where the screens kind of run into each other, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Like there's stuff happening on the top screen, and then like stuff will fall down off the top screen onto the bottom screen. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense why they would do it that way because it's kind of weird how that happens. So yeah, um, I kind of I'm kind of surprised this wasn't announced earlier. I think there's two reasons for this. One is the reason Nintendo gave, and it was that there was a lot of technical limitations they had to um, figure out in order to get this running. And I can understand that because even on like my computer can emulate PSP games pretty okay. But there's some DS games where it can slog at points simply because
Yeah.
you're working with emulating two separate screens. And for any type of 3D rendering, that's pretty hard on just computers that are just okay. So I can kind of see where even something like the Wii U would have issue with that. So and then, well, the second reason is they're in financial trouble, and they're like, "Hey, what will make us sell more Wii U's?" um, so they put that together.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. The Wii U's gonna have that killer app soon. The killer app of emulating DS titles on your screen, and then you can just play Strange Journey. Meanwhile, Nintendo's just like it prints money.
Yep, man. I wonder what like I'm trying to think of what other DS games I would like to play on the Wii U. Like,
Mega Man.
oh yeah, that's true,
Play
man.
all the Mega Man games.
I wonder if they could do like a thing where the Wii U might do this. Do you remember when? Oh well, never mind. I was going to say I wonder if they could do a thing where your Wii U could like give demos to your 3DS, but then I realized they already have the eShop that has demos on it, so that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Um, or like you could play 3DS game demos on your Wii U gamepad for some reason. That would be odd. Um, but yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Hopefully, we'll see Strange Journey in the future. Please,
Yes.
please, Atlas.
Please.
That game,
Nintendo Atlas, please.
that game's pricing is kind of weird.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Real
like
weird.
do you have Strange Journey by any chance? Or
No, I emulated it.
oh, okay. So yeah, then you don't need to worry about it. But like, I don't know if whenever people ask like, is there any SMT game you think might be rare in the future? I actually think it might be Strange Journey because the pricing for that is so weird, and I'm not even sure how many copies of that they reprint on a regular basis. Um,
They started reprinting copies of Devil Survivor. I mean, not Devil Survivor, but Devil Summoner. I remember
yeah.
one time this guy was selling Devil Summoner on eBay for like a couple $100, and then suddenly reprint. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I remember that. I was following that, and I remember because I always wanted those games, and turns out now that I have both of them, and I don't really care for the first one that much compared to most people, which is sad. But I always wanted those games, and I followed them so closely on Amazon. Then one day it's like $30 new, and I'm like, wait a second, something.
Wait a second.
Yeah, and it's like in stock. I'm like, thank you, Atlas. So then, yeah, and then the second one followed soon after. Man, I really want to get back because I heard Rido really picks up towards the second half. Rido 1, that is. And then Rido 2, I've heard nothing but good things about. So I feel like I'm not giving the game a fair chance, but you never know. Oh, man. So, yeah, Wii U stuff. Um, and then the Wii U would also have more SMT games than just SMT Cross Fire Emblem. So
Yes.
you never know. Yeah, I think it's weird how of the next generation consoles, quote unquote, um, the only home console with any real MegaTen backing on it is so far the Wii U. Uh, so that's something to keep in
Yeah.
mind.
The thing about Atlas is they usually develop for everything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see an Xbox One Atlas game in the future. We're gonna see a PS4 Atlas game in the future.
Xbox One Atlas game, Shin Megami Tensei 10,
Yes.
the next MMO. That's why they're shutting down the Imagine English servers. They're gonna announce
Because
that SMT 10
that's
is coming out.
yes, Megami Tensei 10 is gonna come out for the Xbox One. It'll be the MMO to end all MMOs.
I don't think the Xbox One is even out in Japan yet, actually. I think I read something to that effect
Yeah,
recently.
it's not out in Japan. The PS4 isn't out in Japan yet either.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it doesn't come out until next month, I believe.
That's I'd be pissed off if I lived in Japan. It's like we made that shit. Like whatever.
Well, it's because like the market is like there's more
All
demand
handheld.
in yeah, the demand in Japan isn't as high as it in the United States and Europe.
Yeah, because well, I know the 3DS does really well there, and the Vita does pretty well there too, and of
Yeah.
course mobile phones stuff. Um, crap. I was
Yeah.
reading the thing on Reddit where someone says like if you're past a certain age and you admit you play like on home consoles, you're kind of admitting that you have no life or something. Like it's just like a weird social stigma they have there.
Yeah,
So
so they relegate a lot of their gaming to portable handheld stuff.
yeah, I mean, what I find funny is that's kind of flipped. I feel like where, well, I
Yeah,
don't,
that's kind of opposite here.
yeah,
If you play like your Vita out in public, people just think you're a fucking loser.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like if you're playing a game on your cell phone, people are like, oh, he's just sticking around on a cell phone. If you play a game on like your Vita or 3DS in public, it's like, oh, you're such a man child. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious. Um, and then if you like, yeah, I play Call of Duty on PS3, whatever. Like, yeah, I play Street Fighter on 360. You know, people don't give a shit. It's like, oh yeah, it's something to do to pass the time. Whereas I feel like a few years ago, it would have been like, um, it's like, oh, you have a PS2, you're weird, or like whatever, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's weird how that's kind of affected society recently. So yeah, hopefully, hopefully, more stuff gets developed in the future for next gen that Atlas wants to talk about because to be completely honest, I feel like at,
We're not gonna see a next gen Atlas game for quite some time though.
yeah,
'Cause that's
yeah.
just how they roll.
I feel like though Atlas has more sway on a lot of people's console choices than they give themselves credit for. Like I feel like even this though this will never happen. I feel like if they announced a big SMT game on the Xbox One, there'd definitely be quite a few people that would go out and buy it, which I
Yeah.
think I wouldn't, but there are a lot of hardcore fans out there that I'm sure they would go out and do it.
Persona 5 for the Xbox One. Just imagine.
Oh, gee, you know what?
That,
I bet they would make money on that. Actually, is
yeah.
the weird thing. Yeah, Persona especially. Maybe SMT, like if SMT 5 got announced on the Xbox One, I don't know how many people would buy it, but Persona fans will buy. Like a lot of them didn't even want the Vita, but they bought it anyways because Persona 4 Golden. And I
Yeah.
mean that wasn't even a new entry. Um, so I think that's so weird to think about. But yeah, console stuff. So I guess there's another thing we want to talk about. This is kind of our last point of news to talk about is there's an article recently on Silicon Era that made me remember why I like Silicon Era so much, um, in contrast to other gaming journalism sites. So this was an article called "Why We Will Always Need Shin Megami Tensei," and it was written by Ishan, I think his name is.
Yes.
Yeah, and this was a pretty good article. And what I find interesting about it is he mirrors a lot of statements that you and I have made in the past. Um, Specifically with the story and why this is something I'm starting to see more and more, and I think is something that the fan base needs to talk about a lot more. Is there's a lot of people that say, "Well, I heard that Shin Megami Tensei 4 has a bad story," and then people try saying, well, it's not bad, and they try so hard to explain why it's good, but it's so hard to. Um, and the only real like because people argue about stuff like the characters are weak or you just go around from place to place, and it's so hard for people like you and I to say no,
To
this is actually really good.
Yeah, this is a really good game.
Um, I know I find it's so weird because it is a great story, and I think both you and I would agree. It's just that explaining it to someone, it's like, well, the characters are like kind of subtle in how they change, and like it's a lot different compared to people,
Yeah, it's a lot
what they
different from
know.
what people are used to.
Yeah,
And so when they see it, they're just like, ew, what is this? And just slink away.
yeah, and I think it's so strange because I feel like the author of this article really got it too, where it's not about necessarily even the characters. It's like the characters are changing and but it's more so about what they represent in a way.
Yeah.
And what I really like is that he says something that we both said in like a long time ago. Like I think this is like single digit episodes we're talking about, where he said the Japanese role playing game genre is defined by its big character defining moments and just big changes in character revelations and stuff that just happen right away, and or like because of a certain event, or like it doesn't linger much, but character development happens right away, or just there's a big life changing moment that happens within the plot, and that's the standard. And he said that's a sad thing, and I can't help but agree with him because that's not how life
Yeah.
works, and to think that's how
Definitely
life
not.
works is kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
um Even Persona is really good with that compared to most JRPGs, where if something traumatic or life changing happens, there it takes some time before it hits home for the character.
Yeah, it does.
Like it feels
And
very organic.
yeah, like when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, when big revelations happen in that series, the characters don't respond to it well. They respond to it very naturally. They naturally freak out. They naturally get upset, get pissed off. They try to fight against it. Like when the entire story of Roxas is pretty much revolves around this and what he learns, and when he learns that people are hiding things from him and all that stuff, he just gets really angry and bitter about his entire existence and all that stuff.
What I think he also another part of the issue he wants to address is that people don't always say what they're feeling, and that's something that JRPGs tend to not understand, or writers don't, seem to understand. Where I think that's a part of game storytelling that's a lot harder to pull off than say like TV or movie stuff, or even novel stuff where you can hear characters' thoughts. Well, you can hear characters' thoughts sometimes in games, but that's pretty rare. Um,
Yeah.
what I think is hard to pull off because you only have so many portraits or really ways to have a character interact with other characters or with the player. It's really strange because it's what Shin Megami Tensei 4 is setting out to do. It's trying to say people aren't always saying what they're feeling; they're just going through changes internally, and you can kind of see it at some points, and you can kind of hint at it or guess at what Jonathan or Walter is feeling when they're making these decisions that are going against the party. But you're never going to know for sure. And for a lot of people that comes off as bad writing when it really isn't.
Yeah, it's actually pretty genius. It's just that people are so used to the standard, they don't know how to react when they see it.
I know, and that's what I think is so troubling because there's so much depth to both of those characters. And I mean, even those archetypes as a whole, you see it a lot with I mean, hell, going back to SMT1, the Chaos Hero and Law Hero, there's a lot of things to be said for people like, because I feel like with the Chaos Hero and Law Hero archetype, I feel like it's trying to aim at like a certain standard of people. Like the Chaos Hero is usually someone who is very paranoid about what others like excelling over other people or just being the best, or they're very self-conscious about their own strength. Whereas I think the Law Hero is a lot more someone who is willing to be pushed around, or someone that's able to give in and say, I don't want to make the decisions. Someone should do it for us, and everyone should be okay with that. Like they're not very willing to fight authority. They're very submissive, and I feel like SMT4 does that really well. It's just that they
Yeah.
don't give it. They don't spoon feed it to you. Um. So yeah, I thought that was a great article. I mean, there's a,
Yeah, that
there's
was a really great article.
there's a reason Silicon Era is one of the few sites I go to for my gaming news outside of like Reddit and stuff now. That like it was really well written, and I can't help but agree with the guy. But yeah, it was a great it was a great read, and I'll link it below. Um, Definitely keep like stuff like this is what keeps me going back to Silicon Era.
Yes.
What game sites do you frequent, Katsu? I'm curious.
Silicon Era. That's pretty much it.
See, there we
I
go.
only go to I only go to IGN when one of my friends links an IGN thing on 4chan, and then I'm just like, oh my, I need to go to IGN and read what this is about.
Occasionally, I'll go to IGN and just scroll through like their PS3 or like 3DS news section stuff. But
Yeah.
like, I feel like even then,
Oh
there's
man, they had an article about. Do you know that one Vita game that's coming out in the States and it's like heavily censored?
no.
All right, this is heavily censored Vita title made by Compile Heart, or at least I think it's Compile Heart. No, wait, I think it's Idea Factory. It's one of those three really shitty JRPG companies. Whichever one it is, they're localizing a Vita game in the States and Europe, and it is really heavily censored. And it's sparked a lot of controversy within the JRPG, like the anime, pretty much the Japanese game community. And IGN made an article about it, and it is like the most stupidest article I've ever read. And I'm just sitting here like, why did you even localize it in the first place? They're just going to censor the shit out of it. See,
That's
this is
great.
why I hate those. Like, do you know about Compile Heart, Gust, and Idea Factory?
No.
Those three companies are probably some of the worst JRPG companies out there.
I've heard of
They're the
Idea
reason
Factory before. I don't know what they've made, but I've heard of Idea Factory.
they've made I think Idea Factory, Compile Heart, and Gust. Made Hyperdimension Neptunia. That's all you
Oh,
need to know
okay, yeah.
about how bad they are. Yeah, they
Ugh.
do have occasional good IP, but those were all on the PS2. They haven't made anything really outstanding in years, except some of the Atelier games. Those are pretty good. But yeah,
Oh, they made those.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time for some emails.
Emails.
Emails. Actually, we have a crap. We have a DDSnet uh, message that actually someone contacted me through there, so I thought I'd just get that out of the way first. Yeah, people, remember, if you want to PM me on Game FAQs or DDSNet, you can do that too. Um,
You can
that's it.
PM me on Tumblr and
Oh
just
yeah, that,
ask me a question there.
all right. So, all right. So this is from Home Slice, and he asks, "How do you guys prefer your protagonists to perform in battle? Do you like them to be simple men/women with swords and guns with no magical abilities, such as Kazuya, Aleph, or Tamaki? Do you prefer them to be half demons who rely on their own supernatural abilities, like the Demi-Fiend, or a mix of both, like Flynn?" He
Hmm.
says he prefers the first option. I found the adventure much more challenging and somewhat more realistically, or somewhat more real, as goofy as that sounds. Uh, yeah, I kind of prefer the first type too, where your main character is just a guy, simply because I think it makes a interesting strategy type thing going on where your main character can usually hit hard with physical attacks or gun skills or whatever, but he's the guy with the comp that can summon demons, so you want to keep him alive. So,
Yeah. I usually just I usually just be as powerful as possible. So I'm gonna go with the Flynn.
all right,
I want to
yeah.
have the power to crush all my enemies.
I'd argue that SMT4 and Nocturne are some of the few MegaTen games where your main character can be your best party member, potentially, depending
Yes.
on your setup. Whereas in most games, I feel like your humans kind of lag behind a bit. Soul Hackers had that problem bad where your main character was just ass. Um,
This is garbage.
whatever you did, your main character was a piece of shit. I'm sorry. It's just true. Um, Nemissa, on the other hand, destroyed everything. So, yeah, thanks, Home Slice, for. I think that was our first DDSNet question. I'm sorry to anyone if they ever sent a question in there before that I never read, or that I did read and I forgot about. Okay, so going on to emails. This one is from Yamato Takeru. And he says,
Hey.
so you said these questions will be specific to what games you have played and spoken about the most on the podcast. So basically one directed to Rasen and another directed to Katsu. Just because the subjects of these questions are Metal Gear Rising and Fire Emblem Awakening. And he says his two top favorite games of 2013, by the way. Those are good choices for Game of the Year.
Yes.
Um, and he says, feel free to answer either question. My question to Rasen is, who is your favorite boss in Metal Gear Rising, and what is your favorite song? His choice for the boss is Monsoon, and a tie for the music between Collective Consciousness and It Has to Be This Way. Oh, okay. Favorite boss hands down is Jetstream Sam. I
Oh,
fucking
I love the Jetstream Sam boss fight.
whenever I get bored and I have like a good 30 minutes to spare, I fight that boss with only the wooden sword, and it's the most fun thing ever. You should try it whenever you get the chance. Favorite music, shit, that's hard. Um, I guess three-way tie between The Only Thing I Know for Real, Rules of Nature, and Collective Consciousness. Um, those three songs. Fuck. Actually, no. Four-way tie because A Stranger I Remain is great too. Um, don't make me choose. Yeah, those four songs though are what stick out to me as being really great on that soundtrack. So, and then um, this is to you, Katsu. What was your favorite DLC map? And because YOLO, because YOLO, who is your waifu? His
All right,
choice for. Oh, okay.
oh no, you
Okay.
continue with the email.
His choice for the DLC is Apotheosis because he likes to rage at games, and for the waifu he picks Emirian because that leads to an incredibly broken Morgan to make some of the DLC more bearable.
Who did he say?
Um, Emmeryn, Emirian.
Oh, I know what he means.
Okay. I have no clue. I've never played this game, but yes, carry on. Favorite DLC and who is your waifu?
My favorite DLC would have to be the Future Pass because that DLC, like, I'm not. It's like I'm not just talking about a specific Future Pass. I'm talking about the entire pack, and that DLC pack is some of the most saddest, most challenging DLCs ever. Especially if you're playing it on lunatic mode like I do. Like, you have to grind out all. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil much of it, but you need to grind out all of your characters for that map because you're going to need them. You're going to need your characters to be at the top of their game. If not, you're going to have a really hard time.
And who is your waifu?
Tiki.
Okay. Um, okay, I can't read this line without laughing. He says, finally, go tell Megatron to go play SMT4 and look at my alignment again. I didn't know Megatron ever emailed us. I guess there are Transformers emailing us now.
Yes.
And he says 50 Shades of Yamato release date, 20XX featuring Dante from Devil May Cry. Okay, thank you, Yamato. Oh, this one comes from. Okay, so he says he's neutral and schnecked. Sure, on the DDS forums. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong because I probably did. I'll just call you neutral, easier. And he's been watching the podcast as of late, and he's glad to see a MegaTen discussion on things other than Persona. Not that he hates Persona. He loved episode 9, by the way. He was aware of the hate towards Persona, but was unaware of the sheer elitism of some of the fans. And he has 2 questions to ask. And he says, sorry if they've been asked before. What alignment do you think the Persona 3 and 4 characters would belong in? I'd think that the main heroes would be neutral for the most part, though I think that Ken would be leaning on law due to the Justice Arcana and its associated personas, but he doesn't seem like the religious type. Adachi is an obvious Chaos member to me. I would say the Persona 4 cast is probably law.
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty law heavy. They might be like, Yeah, a lot of them are pretty law heavy. Yosuke might lean towards like chaotic law or whatever, simply because of what he decided. Well, I'm not going to spoil it. Simply because of what he decided, what he wants everyone to do during that certain part of the game. That's really sad.
Yeah, well, like the only reason I really said law is because they're like investigation team, like seeking out
Yeah.
justice, that type of stuff. Persona 3, I don't know, probably just neutral. Maybe
Yeah.
Ken might be leaning a little bit towards law. Junpei possibly a little bit more chaos, I feel, in a way.
Chaotic neutral.
Yeah, something like that. And then oh crap, what was I gonna say? Crap, there's someone else I wanted to talk about, but I'm forgetting them at the moment.
Mitsuru, Shinji.
Oh no. What I also wanted to say is a lot of people say that the Digital Devil Saga people are actually all pretty lawful, besides Heat, of course. I always thought that was interesting.
Besides Heat.
Yeah, because Heat's Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just like the whole thing towards the end of Digital Devil Saga 2, which I don't want to spoil, but like the game gets pretty law heavy or pro law. They flat out say it's a different law than the other MegaTen games too, so that's kind of nice because it doesn't make you feel like you're regretting all your choices. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was a good question. So second question: if humans and demons coexisted and lived normal lives together, how would your life be? If they had a pyro jack, they would never have to pay for heating bills. Oh,
that would be perfect.
that would
Let's
be.
see. I wake up in the morning. There's a Mara sleeping next to you.
No, I'd be scared. You know, you could probably like, yeah, you just fly around. You know, this is actually something that I always thought was hilarious, where the plot of Devil Survivor flat out doesn't work because there's constantly demons that have the ability to fly and could probably carry humans, and none of the humans ever try flying over, or at least they never even talk about it. I think that's
They
hilarious.
never talk about demons like, hey, why don't we just use these demons to fly? But maybe the SDF guys would just shoot them down.
That would be great if there's just a scene where someone's being like trying to fly over the barricade with like a pixie or something, then just a rocket comes out of nowhere and blows them up.
Right, because no one just shoots them down. A huge explosion. That's probably why they never considered it. Oh, look at that guy. He just got blown the fuck up for trying to fly over the barrier.
I just find that hilarious. Oh man. So yeah, thank you, Neutral. That was a good question. This one's from Markle, and he says, "Got some new faces. From now on, you'll answer more of my questions. So it's hard to see with his hair, but would you rather date and marry Yukari the crazy, Yuzu the stupid, or Wendigo?" Probably That's hard.
It would probably be Yukari. A girl can be crazy as long as she's equally hot. And Yukari is equally crazy as she is equally hot. So
See, I
yes.
was I was leaning towards Yuzu because even though she's stupid, if you tell her she's stupid, she realizes it pretty fast. Whereas Yukari, you have to like actively beat up and tell you no, you're stupid, um, before she realizes. So I'd probably say Yuzu. Um, so yeah, and also he says,
Yeah.
have you ever gotten a bad ending by accident? Because in mine, I died for nothing but looked older. I feel like he's referencing something that I'm not getting. Ever gotten a bad ending by accident? No, not that I am aware of.
Nah, all the bad endings I got were intentional.
Um, I mean, when I play Persona 4, I actively know I'm just going to use a
Oh
guide
wait,
for the full ending
I
because
did I
fuck it.
did I did get a bad ending, but it wasn't in Persona or any MegaTen game. It
Oh,
was in it was in this visual novel called Gurusai no Kajutsu. And on this if you guys have played it, you guys know about Amane and how she's literally the best girl in that game. Like no other girl becomes close. There's this part like at the end of her route where you have to make this choice of either leaving Amane behind or taking Amane with you. I won't go into details, but if you leave Amane behind, that's a bad ending. And I left her behind because I thought, I was gonna be a hero and all this stuff, and then bad things just happened, and I felt really sad.
the only other bad ending I can think of is in Soul Calibur 3. There's, I think it's Soul Calibur 3. To get a to get the character's good ending, you need to like properly do a QTE, and I think I fucked it up on my first run through story mode, and I got the bad ending for Siegfried.
Oh man,
That's all I can
Soul
remember.
Calibur 3 QTE endings were just so bad. They came out
Those
of
were dumb.
nowhere.
Those were really
Yeah,
dumb. My favorite
they,
is in Siegfried's story when you're fighting shit. Who's the black dude with the scythe?
Zasalamel.
Zasalamel. Yes, you go to face him the first time, and a giant like clock face comes out of nowhere and like almost lands on you, and it's like the fuck did that come from? Like really?
There's this one ending, I forget who it was, where it was a QTE where you have to catch the girl, and if you don't, she'll just fall on the ground and then she'll get mad at
I
you.
think that was Raphael's. I'm not sure. Probably
I
not. I don't remember.
It might have been Maxie's, I can't remember.
Oh, that would make more sense. That would make a lot more sense. Um, Oh, Soul Calibur 3. Soul Calibur 3 is weird because I don't think I would ever go back and play that one. I think that's the only Soul Calibur I don't have access to actually too.
I
Because
have
like
access to Soul Calibur 3.
I have two for GameCube. I might buy the HD version at some point because that game is fucking awesome. I have
Yeah,
4
Soul
and
Calibur
5
3.
and I can emulate the other two. So yeah. But 3 I don't care for obtaining again. 3 kind of seemed like 2 but with a character creator and slightly less balanced to me always. I don't
I
know.
like Soul Calibur 3's character creator. It was great.
It was simple enough to be
Yeah,
like fun but very exploitable to like be
yeah.
awesome. So yeah, that was I just remember like when that game came out, everyone's talking about the character creator. So good. Um, this is Death to All. Sincerely, the new faces. Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you, Marco. And he has another question, another email actually. Um, said here's a pic of the DS protagonist, not the greatest, but he drew it in 10 minutes. He said, Did you notice that Devil Survivor's initials are DS? Also, who are your favorite, or who are your top 3 DS characters? No spoilers past the Belial fight. Sorry for bad spelling in all emails, but he has to type on a phone. Favorite Devil Survivor characters? Ah, shit.
Hmm.
This is weird. So I like actually like the more that I've like thought about Devil Survivor, the more I realize I really like Haru as a character. I think she was really cool. So
Yeah, I like Haru.
she's the only one from the first game that gets in the list. Then my other two would probably have to be Joe and Io.
Yeah, I like Io in the games, but I hate her in the anime. I think
That's
that sentiment is shared with everyone.
yeah, true. You're too strong, Kabiki. No, you can be strong too. Oh, really? Okay. And then everyone
Okay.
lived happily ever after.
And special mention goes to Yamato in the games because He's actually pretty cool.
He's a pretty cool guy.
And
Okay, thank you, Marco, for the question. Um, this is from Crisis of Fate. And he says, "What's up, guys? Here's a new question. Does the Demi-Fiend have tattoos on his Mara?" He's actually looked at one of those yaoi mangas just for the sake of knowing. He says this was his only reason. He swears. I don't know, and I don't want to know.
same. I don't want to know. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Oh, crap! I can't believe I almost forgot. There is an email we got, and this is actually technically at the bottom of the list, but this guy's name is awesome, and I haven't clicked on the email yet, so I wanted to read this one. Like, this guy's name just makes up for being sent in, like, later, so I'm just gonna read it now because awesome name. So, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Based Yahweh asked, hey guys, love the podcast. I was wondering why you call the Devil Survivor games Desu instead of DS. Oh, this comes from a thing on Game FAQs where people realized that you couldn't call the Devil Survivor games the DS games because Devil Summoner was a thing. So everyone assumed you were talking about Devil Summoner, or people would get confused and say, which one are you talking about? So what we did to like solve this is Devil Survivor became Desu, and DS was Devil Summoner. And that kind of spread around the internet in a few circles. I see it referenced a lot like that. But yeah, Game FAQs was where that originated. So,
Yes.
and then also, let's see, is there another? Oh yeah, have you ever thought about changing the podcast intro slash outro? Um,
We thought about it, but we just got lazy.
yeah, I don't know. I like our intro. I really like. I don't. I'm not really attached to the outro in any way. Like, I feel like it would.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I feel like it would be weird to change one without the other, but I would totally be down for changing the outro at some point. I'll make something special for the intro and outro this episode. How about I'll find something, make it a little special. Um, so yeah, thank you, fuck, thank you, Based Yahweh, for your
Yes.
email. Stupid Based Yahweh. Wow. That's a great name though. I'm sorry, but I couldn't wait. I needed to have that email in this episode. And then we'll close out. This one's from Jack, and he says, two quick stories and then my question. One, so far he has been playing Symphony, a game about killing demons in your music. And so far, every time I play, I always find a boss on area of the soul, leading me to believe that the demons are using magic to take over the world. I think he's talking about Castlevania. And then two, the Binding of Isaac probably brought roguelites back. Now, and then he says what he meant about gluttony in Persona 1 was, would it be a tank, a healer, a mage, etc.? And what would its stats look like? Is it really fast, high attack, low magic, etc.? I pictured being a a healer because of overindulgence, having high defense and magic but low speed, and the rest is just mediocre. You would meet him around level 30, and he'd be weak to fire and light. Um, I think he's talking about that email we got regarding gluttony in Persona 1 that we didn't understand because none of us have played Persona 1. And I
Yeah.
don't think anything's changed because neither of us have played Persona 1 since the mailbag episode. So I still don't think we can answer the question. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
You'll get to playing Persona 1 someday, maybe when it gets remade into a good game.
Oh, shots fired. I I believe it or not, I was dicking around more so with PSP emulation. I think I referenced that a little bit earlier this episode. Um,
Yeah.
Dissidia is actually really fun. Speaking of
Yeah,
PSP
Dissidia is
games,
really fun.
it's
It's really fun, but it's really cheap.
it is. Well, no, you play it for like four games, and it's like, wow. So I just hit circle and square, and then it's done. That's dumb. And then you play it more, and it's like, holy shit, this is actually really addicting for a 2 button
Yeah,
fight.
it's really
Uh,
like Dissidia has a competitive scene that's been around for years.
oh God, how that game's unbalanced as fuck. But okay.
I used to be a Dissidia player way back. Like
Is there
I
any?
used to be a top. I used to be a top Dissidia player,
What's
even
the
though I
tier
had no
list like?
PS3. X-Death, Ultimecia, and Sephiroth are like the top 3. When I last checked the tiers, those were the top 3. Those were the threats.
I'm assuming.
Feral Chaos was banned, and
Yeah,
everyone else was.
I was about to say. I'm assuming there's a few banned characters or things in there, but yeah, Sephiroth is pretty OP because his sword is so fucking long. Anyways, going back.
No, he's OP because of that stupid Shadow Flare move.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so getting back to MegaTen. Oh man, sorry about that, guys. What I was gonna say is I was dicking around with just like emulating MegaTen games, so got like Innocent Sin to run, got Persona 1 to run, and then I was like, for shits and giggles, I downloaded the Devil Summoner port, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's like an emulation glitch or what, but the walking speed in that game is pretty bad, and the presentation looks awful. Like, I've heard it was a bad port, but it looks like a really shitty port. So, moral of the story, if you ever want to play Devil Summoner, I would play the Saturn version. This makes it the only game where the Saturn version is the best version ever.
Yeah. Ever.
So yeah, I thought that'd be interesting to talk about. So yeah, don't even bother downloading that version of Devil Summoner. It's bad. I think we're good.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
bye guys.
Bye.
So dance while I put you in a trance. And let's party. Boogie in your body. Work that body. Make sure you don't hurt nobody. I say, hey, feeling the fire with a burning desire. Yeah, get up off of that thing. Dance and shake and let's swing. Come on, go, let me rock the world. Gather demons and come again.